In a world obsessed with status, flash, and flaunting wealth, one quiet man keeps reminding us what true class really looks like. This isn't a story the tabloids picked up. But it's the kind that ripples through whispers, locker rooms, and late-night staff shifts, until it becomes legend. This is the story of how Keanu Reeves got kicked out of a private luxury club. And what he did next left every staff member in tears. The door that wouldn't open. It was one of those LA nights that shimmered with decadence. The kind of night when luxury cars line the sidewalks like trophies, heels click across marble driveways, and conversations revolve around startup valuations, film deals, and off-market penthouses. Tucked behind high walls and security checkpoints in West Hollywood stood a club so exclusive, it didn't even advertise its name. A black and gold logo etched into the door said everything its members needed to know. This place wasn't about partying, it was about presence. Influence. Access. Inside, the air buzzed with the low hum of money. Guests sipped cocktails crafted with rare herbs and 100-year-old spirits. DJs didn't spin top 40, they curated vibes for billionaires. No one paid in cash. The currency here was relevance. And then, at 9:47 p.m., something unusual happened. A black motorcycle glided silently into the roundabout. No driver. No valet. Just a lone rider. The security team blinked at their cameras. A man stepped off the bike, black boots, faded jeans, worn tee, shaggy hair escaping from beneath a helmet. He removed it slowly. Calmly. No rush. It was Keanu Reeves. But no one shouted. No paparazzi. Just a few staff exchanging looks. Keanu adjusted the strap of a messenger bag on his shoulder, walked toward the entrance, and smiled gently at the doorman standing stiffly behind the velvet rope. Doorman. Good evening, sir. May I ask, are you a member? Keanu stopped. No irritation. No swagger. Just warmth. Keanu. I'm meeting a friend inside. He texted me about 5 minutes ago. Said he'd already checked in. The doorman, Miguel, in his early 30s, nodded cautiously and tapped his earpiece. Inside, a junior manager's voice buzzed through. Who is it? Miguel paused, trying to describe the man. Miguel quietly. I think, it's Keanu Reeves. Doesn't matter. Is he wearing formal? Miguel's eyes scanned the outfit again. The boots were scuffed. The shirt clung to him like it had known 1,000 days of sunlight and laundry cycles. No watch. No designer logo. No tailored blazer. Just, a man. Reject. Not in dress code. Miguel winced. This was always the hardest part of the job. Protocol didn't bend, not even for celebrities. Miguel. Sir, I'm really sorry. We do have a strict dress policy, blazers, collars, slacks. I can't let you in dressed like this. Keanu looked down at himself. Then back at Miguel. No change in expression. Not even a sigh. No worries at all. Totally understand. I'll let my friend know. He gave a small nod, turned around, and walked back toward his bike. Miguel stood frozen for a second. Something about the moment didn't feel right. Not because the man had been turned away, but because he hadn't even flinched. No eye roll. No sarcasm. No name drop. Just, kindness. Miguel returned to his post. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. Inside, the friend Keanu had come to meet, a film director named Nate, came out looking confused. Nate to Miguel. Hey, was there a guy out here earlier? Kinda scruffy, long hair, looks like John Wick's quiet cousin. Miguel hesitating. Yeah. He said he was meeting you. But he wasn't in formal attire. I had to follow the code. Nate blinked. Then laughed, but not in mockery. In disbelief. Nate. You turned away Keanu Reeves? Miguel didn't answer. He just looked down at the velvet rope. Suddenly it didn't feel like velvet. It felt like a wall. Later that night, staff break room. The party inside raged on. But in the back room where staff caught their breath between shifts, things were quieter. Dim lighting, metal chairs, the faint smell of antiseptic and spilled cocktails. Miguel sat with his sandwich untouched. The bartender, a cheerful woman named Rosa, joined him. Rosa. Rough night? Miguel. I think I just kicked out the nicest guy in Hollywood. Rosa. You're not the first. Remember that oil guy who screamed at us last week for forgetting his mezcal? Miguel. No. It's not that. This guy, Keanu, he was peaceful. Like he already knew how this would go. And he still smiled. He pulled out his phone and searched quietly. A moment later, an article filled the screen. Keanu Reeves takes public subway, helps homeless, carries groceries for fans. Miguel, reading. He gave away most of his Matrix money to the crew. Didn't even tell anyone. Just did it. Rosa. And we turned him away, because his shirt didn't have buttons. Miguel didn't laugh. Instead, he stared into his sandwich like it might offer redemption. The truth was, most of the staff admired Keanu. Not because he was a movie star, but because he wasn't like the others. No scandals. No drama. Just a man who moved through the world like his time was borrowed, and everyone's worth was equal. And tonight, they had treated him like he didn't belong. Meanwhile, across the city, Keanu sat alone in a booth at a small diner a few blocks away. The place smelled like bacon grease and burnt coffee, nothing exclusive, but deeply familiar. The kind of place where no one cared who you were, as long as you tipped and kept your elbows off the counter. The waitress, an older woman with tired eyes and a kind smile, poured him coffee. Waitress. Rough night? Keanu smiling. Not really. Just humbling. He sipped slowly, gazing out the window. He wasn't angry. Not even surprised. Places like that club weren't designed for people like him, not because of fame, but because he refused to wear his wealth like armor. He thought about the staff. The doorman. The glimmer of regret in his eyes. Keanu to himself. It's not their fault. They're just trying to keep their jobs. He folded a napkin gently between his fingers. A memory stirred. He had once worked at a theater himself, sweeping floors, restocking candy, making change for impatient customers. Back then, all he wanted was someone to see him. And tonight, someone had. Not the people inside that club. But the man at the door. Back at the club, closing time. As the night wound down, guests filed out with coats draped over shoulders and compliments laced in champagne breath. Miguel remained silent, his smile forced as he nodded goodbye. Inside, the manager patted him on the shoulder. Manager. Good job tonight. Tight list, no exceptions. Miguel nodded. But something inside him felt off. Like a note held too long in a song. Because tonight, he hadn't turned away a poorly dressed man. He'd turned away someone who treated his time, his work, his humanity, like it mattered. The return ride. 3 nights passed. The club hadn't changed. The chandeliers still dripped gold. The champagne still flowed like liquid status. And the dress code still held firm, tailored jackets, Italian shoes, Rolexes flashing beneath crisp cuffs. But something was different. Not in the walls, nor the music, nor the faces inside, but in the people outside. Especially Miguel. He had gone through the motions each night since Keanu's visit, but his heart wasn't in it. Every time someone smugly flashed their member tag, he remembered the man who smiled without one. Every time someone barked at him for opening the door too slowly, he remembered Keanu's quiet, no worries. The guilt sat in him like stone. It was 9:12 p.m. when the doorman's earpiece buzzed. Heads up. Someone on a motorcycle just pulled up. Miguel turned, expecting the usual flashy Ducati owned by a trust fund kid who liked to make an entrance. Instead, he saw him. Same black boots. Same weathered jeans. Same quiet aura. Keanu Reeves. But this time, he wasn't alone. Behind him, a food delivery van followed slowly into the valet circle. 2 staff jumped from the van, one carrying warm trays, the other arranging labeled boxes. Miguel stepped out from behind the rope, nervous. "Miguel," softly. "Mr. Reeves." Keanu gave that same gentle smile. "Keanu. Hey, man. Didn't come for the party." He glanced toward the side staff entrance. The one where the waiters slipped in on smoke breaks. The one no guest ever noticed. "Keanu. I was hoping to talk to the team. The folks who work behind the scenes." Miguel blinked. "The team? Keanu. Yeah. I thought maybe I could feed them tonight." 10 minutes later, staff break room. The staff weren't sure what was happening. First came the trays, lasagna, fresh salad, garlic bread, lemon cake. Then came Keanu. He didn't walk in with cameras. No press. No entourage. Just a man carrying plates and waving off anyone trying to help. "Rosa. What's going on? Is this really him?" Miguel smiled faintly. "Miguel. He came back. For us." Keanu stood before the 10 or so staff gathered in the break room. Line cooks, waiters, hosts, janitors. All blinking in disbelief. "Keanu. I came the other night. Got turned away. Dress code thing. It's cool, I get it. You were doing your jobs." He set a tray down, looked around. "Keanu. But I saw something in your eyes that night, kindness. Even when you had to say no. And I know working here probably means dealing with a lot of people who don't see that in you." He looked directly at Miguel. "Keanu. So I wanted to say thank you. With dinner." The room was silent. Then came the emotion. Not from the food, but from the fact that someone had noticed them. Someone who had no reason to come back. No debt to repay. No image to polish. Just respect. Rosa wiped a tear from her eye. One of the line cooks whispered, "Nobody's ever done this." A quiet conversation. After dinner, Keanu pulled Miguel aside. They stood near the side door, the hum of the kitchen in the distance. "Keanu. You handled that night with grace, man. That couldn't have been easy." "Miguel. I followed the rules. Doesn't mean I liked it." Keanu reached into his bag and pulled out an envelope. "Keanu. You mentioned you were taking night classes in architecture?" Miguel froze. He had mentioned it, 3 years ago, in a passing conversation with another doorman. How could Keanu know? "Keanu. People talk. I listen." Inside the envelope was confirmation of a scholarship. Full ride. Anonymous donor. Until now. Miguel's hands trembled. "Miguel. This. I don't even know what to say." "Keanu. You don't have to say anything. Just build something beautiful someday. That's enough." A quiet revolution. Word travels fast in Hollywood, but real stories, the ones that carry emotion rather than gossip, move differently. They move quietly, whispered from person to person, shared between baristas and bellhops, assistants and drivers. Stories that aren't fed through a publicist or sold to TMZ. Stories that feel too human to be real, yet too sincere to ignore. Within 48 hours of Keanu's unexpected return to the private club, every staff member had passed the moment along like a gift. He brought food for all of us. No cameras. Just him. He remembered Miguel's night school program, 3 years ago. He gave him a scholarship. Full ride. By the weekend, the club's staff had changed, not visibly, but spiritually. For the first time in a long time, they felt seen. Like they mattered. Like their efforts, keeping the glass polished, the carpets perfect, the guest egos protected, had been worth it. But not everyone was pleased. The manager's office, the next morning. Inside a dark paneled office, the club's operations manager, Derek Fulton, scrolled through his inbox. There it was. Subject line: Keanu Reeves incident, staff talking. He clicked. The email, sent by another manager, outlined the entire event. Keanu had returned. Fed the entire back-of-house staff. Had conversations. Left behind no PR stunt, only gratitude. And now, the staff were inspired. Derek. This isn't good. We don't need a folk hero messing with our structure. To him, the club wasn't a community. It was a machine. A mechanism designed to uphold standards, impress clients, and maintain control. He picked up the phone and dialed the club's owner, a discreet billionaire named Alvin Mercer, a man who built empires and hid behind them. Derek. Mr. Mercer, we have a situation. Keanu Reeves returned to the club, interacted with staff. Alvin cut him off. Alvin. I know. I heard about it last night. From my driver. He said his niece, Rosa, works in catering. Told him Keanu cried when Miguel thanked him for the scholarship. Derek. With respect, sir, this could threaten our boundaries. Members will talk. It sets a precedent. There was a long pause. Then Alvin said something unexpected. Alvin. Maybe it should. Media attention builds, but Keanu stays silent. The story leaked, not through tabloids, but through a Reddit thread titled, "My friend's a doorman. Keanu came back after being turned away. You won't believe what he did." Within hours, the post blew up. Thousands of upvotes. Comments flooded in. Of course he did. Classic Keanu. The man's a saint. He doesn't wear wealth, he wears humility. Why don't we hear more stories like this? That club should rethink who they let in. Media outlets began to sniff around. Emails went out to Keanu's team. CNN, Variety, Good Morning America. Everyone wanted a statement. But none came. Keanu refused interviews. No quotes. No comment. No Instagram posts. When asked by a reporter at a separate event if the story was true, he simply smiled and said, "Keanu. If someone's doing their job with kindness, they deserve kindness in return. That's all." And just like that, the moment remained sacred. Unbranded. Untouched. Back at the club, a new meeting. Alvin Mercer, who had not stepped foot in the club in over 5 years, arrived unannounced. He walked through the main lounge with no fanfare. No one recognized him, except the senior staff, who stiffened like statues. Alvin asked for Miguel. The doorman was brought to a side lounge, where the billionaire sat sipping water, dressed not in a suit, but in a simple gray sweater. Alvin. You're the one who turned Keanu Reeves away. Miguel straightened up. Braced for a reprimand. Miguel. Yes, sir. I followed policy. Alvin raised a hand. Alvin. I'm not here to scold you. You followed the rules. You honored your position. And then, you inspired a man to come back and do something beautiful. Miguel looked stunned. Alvin. I built this place to keep noise out. But somewhere along the way, we also shut out sincerity. He pulled a document from his jacket, an internal memo. It read, effective immediately, all front-of-house staff are encouraged to evaluate dress code infractions on a case-by-case basis. Hospitality will be prioritized over optics. If someone arrives with humility and kindness, they will be welcomed, not turned away. Miguel stared at the words. Miguel. You're changing the rules. Alvin. Because sometimes, one man in old boots reminds you what a gentleman really looks like. The ripple effect. In the weeks that followed, the story continued to float, never quite viral, never quite forgotten. Clubs across Los Angeles began re-evaluating their entry policies. A rival venue quietly updated its website to include, "We reserve the right to admit based on conduct, not couture." Other celebrities came forward, anonymously covering night school tuitions, scholarships, even food costs for back-end staff in their favorite venues. And Miguel? He started his architecture program with a scholarship signed by Kr. He still worked nights, still opened doors, but something had shifted. Guests now asked him how his classes were going. They treated him like a person. Not because they suddenly cared about architecture, but because Keanu Reeves had noticed him, and in doing so, reminded them to look closer. A quiet visit. A month later, on a rainy Tuesday night, Keanu returned to the club. No bike this time, he walked. Miguel spotted him from across the entrance and met him at the velvet rope. But this time, Keanu wasn't stopped. Miguel opened the rope with a smile. "Miguel. Welcome back, Mr. Reeves." Keanu grinned. "Keanu. Still not wearing a blazer, you know." "Miguel. Doesn't matter anymore." They walked in, not to party, but to share a coffee in the lounge, just two men who respected each other. No cameras. No noise. Just a moment. In a world obsessed with image, Keanu reminded us that character still matters. You don't need to wear wealth to be respected, and sometimes, the simplest acts of kindness can spark quiet revolutions. If this story moved you, share it. Because someone out there needs to hear that being kind still counts.